Award in 2009, conferred with Commander of the Order of the Niger CON in 2011 by the then President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, during his administration for contributing to banking and finance. As a visionary leader, he was installed into the E&Y World Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame in 2011 as the EY West Africa Entrepreneur of the Year and named African Banker of the Year in 2013. These amounting to how much others values his leadership and ideas. He got honored by Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria. Beside his work, Aige Mokwede also gives back to society. This philanthropist is involved in efforts to improve governance and healthcare across Africa through his Aige Mokwede Foundation, making a positive impact on people's life. He initiated the Adopt a Healthcare Facility program in 2019, and he is the chairman of ABC Health and director of the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. He is the founder of chairman of Coronation Capital Limited since 2015 and has contributed to the growth of the Coronation ecosystem. Coronation Capital Limited, with other arms of its businesses, also bettered Coronation Art Gallery in Lagos on the 13th of May 2022, a platform for showcasing exceptional works of art that embodied the essence of cultural significance and artistic expression. Aigboje Aige Mokwede founded Coronation Art Gallery with the vision of democratizing art, foster appreciation and understanding for the artistic world, and making it accessible to a wider audience.
Bumi Augusto is, I knew Bumi when she was born. I know her parents, and I know all her siblings. She's a beautiful, wonderful, gifted Nigerian artist, and just like many of the others here. The piece behind me is a triptych, long throats, all up to longer throats. I actually thought that I was going to caption this collection. You know, this is really a microcosm of my entire collection, but I was going to capture it longer throats because this represents a lot of this collecting I did during COVID. Many of these pieces actually were not in Nigeria. I brought them home. I'll tell you something. I'm known for collecting masters, you know, the Enwonwus and the Yusuf Grillos and so on. I still do, okay? And I kind of stuck to that genre of classic. Those are the people who, when I was growing up, as I told you, those are the people who were my parents, either just older than them or contemporaries. So I grew up knowing these artists as my uncles, okay? So my first collecting was, you know, from works, you know, done by masters like that. After a while, you know, these works are really priced in. But Bumi Augusto, you know, her works, you know, which may appear even a bit pricey now, in 10 years' time, you know. So this is also hosted by Coronation, which are companies that are all about wealth creation. So there's also the investment angle. I don't collect for investments, but, you know, with all that these great Nigerian and African artists, the young ones, have been doing, and the way their prices have been rising, you know, I've got to focus on investments now.
He collaborated with the Nigerian Civil Service to digitalize work processes and public service delivery in October 2021. Recognizing 43 public servants at the 2022 Civil Service Award ceremony on behalf of the Aige Mokwede Foundation with an encouragement of cash prize worth 500,000 naira for each awardees.
It is my understanding that annually 43 public servants will be recognized in this fashion, and so with effect from the 2022 Civil Service Awards ceremony, on behalf of the Aige Mokwede Foundation, we will be putting an endowment with effect from this award session, whereby each awardee receives a cash prize of 500,000 naira. And in the interest of digital culture, the credits will go directly to your accounts.
Among his many certifications, affiliations, and fellowships, Ige Mokwede holds Triumph MBA from the London School of Economics, New York University, and HEC Paris. He attended an executive management program at Harvard Business School in the year 2000, and he is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, also appointed to the International Advisory Board of Oxford University's Blavatnik School of Government. Ige Mokwede is a honorary fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria and had received an honorary doctorate of science from Olabisi Onabanjo University in 2018. Also honored by Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria last year in a groundbreaking ceremony.
If the operators of our markets, of a nation's capital markets, are properly resourced in terms of skill, capacity, and conduct, nothing can stop that nation and its citizens from leaving the tarmac and moving from third world to first world. Nothing can stop it. The correlation between the advancement of financial markets and the advancement of national economies is perfect. It's not almost, it is perfect. And so, you understand why I have tied myself to the future of this market and why I have tried from the very word go that my voice was heard to get the public sector and the elite within the private sector to understand that we cannot ignore this market.
Igboje is the fourth African co-chairman of the Global Business Coalition on Health and chairman of the Friends of the Global Fund, Africa. The business mogul has made significant donations to the Global Fund. He is the vice chairman of the Global Citizen Nigeria and creator of the Nigerian Solidarity Support Fund. There is always a story, or say many stories, behind every success, and this Ige Mokwede has shared in a book called Leaving the Tarmac, Buying a Bank in Africa, Red Door 2020. In it, he talked about how he and others turned Access Bank into a major success, showing his determination and vision.
On a personal note, I think the first thing is that I left Access Bank. I retired as CEO in 2013, and I knew that I needed time off just to recharge my battery, so to speak. I didn't think I would have more than a year and a half before my perpetual motion character, kind of took over once again. And so I wanted to use that period as productively as possible. So I had a year and a half, and what better to do in a year and a half, than write a book. And for me, it was an opportunity, for posterity to tell the story to my children in a structured sense, because before then, I just hadn't had the opportunity to sit down with my kids and say, this is what I did today, or this is what I did yesterday, and these are the highs and the lows of this journey. Herbert and I went through a hell of an experience between 2002 and 2013, and for him, that experience has continued. We learned so much, we were exposed to so many things. We had really, really great mountains that we climbed. We scaled some pretty high heights and so on. In a sense, it would be very selfish of us to, lock this up in a box and not share it with others, because I think our experience, can be used by any other person who has an ambition to go out there and do, whatever it is they seek, whatever it is they dream about. And so the notion of writing for posterity and recording this period in my life, and probably more important, the notion of preparing a way for others, those are the things that drove me to write the book.
Ige Mokwede, former managing director of Access Bank Group, returns to lead Access Holdings, replacing Abubakar Jimoh. His return after a decade aims to realize the shared vision of the late co-founder, Herbert Wigwe. Access Holdings PLC, trading under the Access Corp ticker on the Nigerian exchange, began to feel Agboje's progressive impact as its stock value increased by 1.52% following his appointment as chairman. Agboje Ige Imokwede is back again. Ige Imokwede is married to Ofovwe Ige Imokwede and has 4 children, namely Ohiozoje, Aima, Morenike, and Renown. He has been able to balance his family life with his professional achievements, setting an example as a leader and role model to many. He is an ordained minister of the Promised Land Ministry. In the annals of Nigerian business history, his story stands out, showcasing the power of vision, perseverance, and giving back to the community. From his humble beginnings to global recognition, he inspires others to dream big and make a difference. His legacy remains as he continues to make strides in business and philanthropy.
Musk is a visionary entrepreneur leading innovative ventures in technology, space exploration, electric vehicles, and renewable energy. Musk was born on June 28, 1971 to a South African engineer and his mother, a Canadian model and nutritionist in Pretoria, South Africa. His talents for computers and entrepreneurship emerged early, and at age 12, he created and sold a video game. Musk studied physics and economics at Queen's University and the University of Pennsylvania. In 1995, Musk founded Zip2, sold to Compaq for $307 million. He also co-founded X.com, which became PayPal, acquired by eBay for $1.5 million in 2002. Driven by a vision for humanity's multiplanetary future, Musk founded SpaceX in 2002, developing affordable rockets to support International Space Station mission and NASA's Artemis program. He became a major investor in Tesla 2004, launching electric vehicles like Roadster, Model X, and Model 3. Tesla unveiled the Cybertruck, beginning deliveries in 2023. Musk acquired X, formerly known as Twitter, in 2022, aiming to enhance future and transparency. Musk has at least 12 children from multiple relationships, including Justin Wilson, Tallulah Riley, Grimes, and Siobhan Zilis. Through SpaceX, Tesla, and other ventures, Musk shapes technology and innovation globally, and his influence extends beyond business into politics and culture.
My name is Shino Ogbadegeshin. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch Souk News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching Souk News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch Souk News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching Souk News, okay? Stay updated with Souk News.
My name is Arton Keme. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching Souk News and stay glued to Souk News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch Souk News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching Souk News.
congratulations on the new channel, and I'm happy to be here. The Omniverse is imagined as a collaboration platform. So it's a platform that, as the name suggests, is bringing together ecosystems. So it's like an ecosystem of ecosystems, aggregating aggregators and community leaders who are able to bring together their communities together to a platform. So the summit in itself was, while it was a big event and a heavy lift for us and the team, and I have to thank our team of volunteers. We had a team of about 40 full-time core volunteers that delivered the Omniverse. So one of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event, and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. So we will be launching our digital platform. We have about 70 community partners already, including a number of government institutions. So to answer the question, there's public-private partnership within the Omniverse. There's regulators, there's government departments and agencies, there's ministries. But more importantly, there's diverse sectors across the economy coming together with the understanding that tech is the biggest enabler for development across all sectors, and that if we can drive collaboration, we can scale. So that's the ethos of the Omniverse. Collaboration is the superpower that we're trying to bring to the fore. That operating in silos has not paid us, but if we come together, understand that technology affects every sector, then we think the Omniverse is here to stay. Nigerian companies, Nigerian associations, global associations, and when I say associations, it's from things like the Nigerian digital artists who have 3,000 members, right, in the NFT community, the Visual Artists of Nigeria, the Society of Nigerian Art, the AfriLabs, which is the biggest innovation hub network on the continent in 54 African countries, ISN Hubs, which is our core partner, which is the biggest innovation network in Nigeria, innovation support network, with something like 189 hubs in 30 states in Nigeria. And these are primarily private sector driven platforms, from aggregators who are major promoters of major platforms such as Lola Shone from Ake Book Festival, Choma Ode from AFRIF. We have a lot of these people who are either on our advisory board, they are co-chairs, or they are community partners, because what we're building is beyond any one person. It's about collaboration both at the top level, but through the line down to the bottom. The role of my council is, first of all, to be the primary sort of mandate is to infuse Nigerian arts and culture into everything the Nigerian government does at state level, at federal level, and to input it into schools, education, and everywhere. So in that sense, to make arts and culture functional and front line everywhere. This will involve the foreign minister, making sure it's embedded in our foreign policy, in our embassies, in the government policy, in every sector. So we're literally going to be reaching out to collaborate to all government at all levels, all other agencies, MDAs, ministries, federal government and state government institutions, to see how we can find common ground. Because obviously we don't necessarily have a lot of money, but I feel we represent the real crude oil of Nigeria, which is the IP that the Nigerian people create. That IP they create, even if you valued it at $100 per Nigerian, that'd be something like $20 billion. And I believe each Nigerian is worth more than $100. So my own estimation, it's limitless, right? So what we have to do is we have to rethink how we imagine ourselves, rethink our own possibilities, and therefore from there, take off by pushing that agenda. But it's not an agenda for me alone. It's actually an agenda for all of Nigeria. Because when we put it front and center, it means we're putting the Nigerians front and center. And we put the Nigerians front and center, I think we win. I think historically you will find that the federal government and the governments of Nigeria have not funded heavily these sectors. They funded the heavy industries, the military-industrial complex, heavy infrastructure. But the funny thing is, whilst Africans will say, oh, this is grammar, what are you people talking about in arts and culture? What you find is that the West, right, for 500 years has dominated the world. How have they dominated the world? Through narrative. Okay, but what do we complain about? Narrative. But we haven't invested in narrative. So if you don't invest in telling your own story and owning your own story, why are you complaining about how you're perceived? So I think it's counterintuitive, and it's about time And I'm very pleased and very happy that Nigeria now has a full ministry focused on this one specific issue. Because the truth of the matter is, we are older than time itself. We come before Christ. We come before the entire Western hegemony. We are actually the origins of everything, of innovation, of technology, of science, of education. But if we don't believe it ourselves and we don't express it, how can you expect anybody else to believe it? Well, I think the difference is that as a creative entrepreneur, there's really nothing to stop me, right? I can take all the risks. I don't have to worry about anything. I can decide, win or lose, we're doing this thing. But of course, as a public official, I have rules and regulations I have to go by. I have a boss. I report to people, and I have KPIs I have to deliver on. So there's a difference in that regard. There's a difference in bureaucracy, maybe a difference in response time, but there certainly will not be a difference in my personality. So I think it's really about how you perceive what these things are. For me, it's an elevation, obviously, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to serve at this level, to do something that I believe in, to do something which is that I believe in Nigeria. I believe in Nigerians. I know our ability. I think we are world class. I don't like all this, it's good for Nigeria. I hate that. So I think for me, that is what's important. And to have the opportunity to try to deliver on some of the things we've been trying to do from the private sector for the last 25, 30 years. So there's nothing new for me in that regard. But of course, the position is new. Being in the government is new. But with a lot of support from friends, family, professional colleagues, and other people in the industry, plus my co-DGs and the minister, hopefully we'll do well. We're under the Ministry of Art, Culture, and Creative Economy, and that's very, very powerful because it means Nigeria itself has taken a decision to own the agenda. Hopefully I have a good time, have a good tenure, and I don't make any enemies. And well, for me, if you leave a place and the people that worked with you have good things to say, if they feel better about their work and about themselves, and if the brand that you're now leading is now appreciated by the people for what it does and how it brings it to the table, then I've done my job. I think Afrobeats has already established the fact that we are originally Nigerian, or some people say arrogantly Nigerian. And it was intentional. We built this thing, and it was intentional because we're not going to ever apologize for being Nigerian. We're not going to apologize for being black. We're not going to apologize for being African. And that's front of mind because, you know, when you do show business, you have to validate it. So we validated the show maybe at least 10 years ago. So now we're in the business phase. So when you see the exit of Maven Records with UMG, you see Iwaju coming, Comic Republic with Universal Studios, you begin to understand where we're building to. And when you think about where we're coming from, where there was no infrastructure, no funding, no support, and I think part of what we hope to do with government at this time is, because we come from the sector, we can collaborate with everybody in the sector. We don't have to talk at them, we talk with them, we build with them, and together I think it's limitless. You know, Nigerians like to say the sky is your limit. I think it's limitless. There's no limit to the whole situation. One of the things I talk about all the time is what's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part. That's a lack of us delving into the richest thing we have, which is our mythology. Our mythology is endless. If you look at the Marvel universe and the DC Comics universe, the Orisha are basically the same thing as the X-Men. But the Orisha, some people are still afraid of them, whereas the X-Men are north of $100 billion in revenue. So I think we have to understand and reimagine our mythology, our history, our stories, and how to bring them to the world in new formats. It's not just film. It could be live action. It could be gaming. There's so many different ways to action these things. And when you do them, and you do them right at the right level, as Iwaju is beginning to show you, our stories have always been world-class. Our characters are world-class. What we have not had is the resolve and the confidence to finish. But I think that is coming now. For me, I think it's still the fact there's more to do. My young brother, Misan Harriman, is nominated at the Oscars, the first Nigerian nominated for a director for a short film, because I know what that will do for the next generation of Nigerian directors, right? So for me, there's still more to do. There's so much more to do. When we see our first $100 million movie in the global box office, we need to celebrate it. When you win a Grammy, you need to celebrate it, because these are stages that we were locked out of. The technology and new media has allowed us to invade these spaces we were not even invited to. But now we're beginning to enter them and dominate. So even when you do that, you have to do it with grace and dignity, not with arrogance. And that's something that some of us have to learn. But the truth of the matter is, the greatness of the Nigerians is just beginning to come. And I feel strongly that this century, we're already in the African century, and the soft power that we hold here is what will define the future of the century. I think the most important thing, the first thing to think about is IP protection, because the minister is working strongly, intellectual property. The US, if you take the state of California is probably in the top 5 economies in the world, and 70% of the economy of California is driven by intellectual property, by 2 core industries, Silicon Valley, which is coming out of Stanford University, and Hollywood, which of course is the music and film industry. Now, that is for anybody that says, oh, what is this thing that they're talking about? We don't understand it, it's grammar. The grammar is the money, okay? The narrative is the money, the story is the money. So any of your children or your nieces or nephews that have talent, visual art, performing art, arts and crafts, adire, all of these things that we've been taking as vocation, they are occupations. They are extremely valuable. And with digital technology and platforms, we can scale these things and generate incredible revenue. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things. I think Nigerian cuisine is going to be on the level of Chinese and Indian cuisine worldwide in the next 10 years. And if you understand that, then you understand that the Indian restaurants in the UK, as far back as 2009, were generating more money than the UK automobile, shipping, and metal, steel industries combined. That's just restaurants on the high streets. So that is why we must invest and we must put our energy into this sector, because this sector will provide the jobs, provide the revenues, and provide the global dollars that everybody's looking for. Oh, I think it hasn't even started. The Maven Records deal is giving you an indication of that. The reason why that valuation of $150 to $200 million has been done is because of the upside potential of Rema, who's 23, and Arya Starr, who's 20. So they're looking at the fact that in 10 years' time, these guys could have generated $1 billion each. Do you understand? So it's a safe bet when you already have a built global talent at 23, when it normally takes years and years and a lot of money to build the talent, right? So what has happened is that we Nigerians have been able to build global talents, global following, with a percentage of the money it takes people in other places to do the same thing. So because of that, the value and the valuation is much bigger, right? So I would say the Afrobeats wave, it's not even a wave. It's been going for 15 years already. So when you encounter it is when you encounter it. If you think it's an overnight success in 2024, that means you were not around in 2008. 2006, I'd say it's a good time to think, when the sort of continent, because we took Africa first, working very closely and collaboratively with South Africans, Ghanaians, and Kenyans. Then we started going into Asia and the UK and America on the black, what I call the Nigerian chitlin circuits, moving through the Nigerian communities. And then by about 2010, begin to come into the mainstream with Oliver Twist and all these kind of records that break globally. And now you have gold records from Oliver Twist in 14 countries. And now, in a situation now where an artist like Ashake can come out of Lagos, speaking a language that is not known to most of these people, and generating, selling out arenas. To become an arena artist, let me tell you, there are only 4 or 5 arena artists from Africa, and they're all Nigerian. Don't take it for granted. I think a lot of people feel that, but what I should tell the rest of the country is that the rest of the continent is also trying to get to Lagos as well, right? It's not just the rest of Nigeria. From Accra, from Luanda, from everywhere on this continent, they're trying to get into Lagos, because if they can break in Lagos, they can break anywhere else in the world. But what I would say is this, from the perspective of my agency, our purview is national and global. We have 10 regional offices. We'll be visiting all of them. And our duty is to spotlight and showcase everybody. So we can't deal with just Lagos. And I think as we go forward, people begin to see the activations and plans coming. But the easiest way to do it, and the way we're going to do our best to do it, is to provide digital platforms to give everybody the opportunity to be seen. Because in this world, you know, we live in the attention economy. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made. But I know for a fact there's significant talent in all parts of Nigeria. I was watching last week, a gentleman called Ehi Benite was showing me all this content from Jos with these guys rapping, serious stuff. They're rapping in Hausa, they were doing ciphers. And then he was like, what do we do about these guys? I said, just keep pushing them, because there's an audience for everything. There's an audience for everything. Don't be worried about that. There's an audience for every single thing, including the thing that you may be doing in your bedroom, but you think is not important. Somebody's interested in it. My label was a hip-hop label. I even refused to sign singers. There's almost every singer you could name was trying to get us to sign them. And I used to do it based on, can you rap? If you can't drop a freestyle, don't bother, right? It was that simple. And we helped all the other singers get signed to labels that we thought could help them and develop them in that direction. Hip-hop has changed, and obviously it's generational, right? So hip-hop has changed, and you know, everybody approaches music from their own generation. Like, oh, I like this kind of hip-hop or that kind of hip-hop. What I feel is that Afrobeats became overwhelming, and it overwhelmed every other genre here. So the hip-hop guys had to fight for relevance, but the best ones always rise to the top. That's just the simple truth. So I don't worry about that. And I've heard enough guys. I even saw there was a whole Instagram series some guy was doing about a year ago, where he was just bringing out fresh rappers every day from Enugu, from Jos, from Kaduna, from Kano, from Benin. I love it. I think there are incredible MCs in Nigeria. A lot of times they need to focus on doing better songs, right? Not just being a freestyle rapper. If you want to get paid to rap, you've got to do better songs. You can't just do the freestyles. And that's something they've got to think about. You've got to balance the commercial side of it with the business side of it. And what has happened is, to a large extent, the commercial side has won because you've got to pay bills. But hip-hop, it never dies. I think, first of all, obviously, from the perspective I'm sitting in government, so I'm not in a position to tell government what to do or what not to do. But what I can say is this, is that the agency, my agency will be the home for the music industry, for performing arts, visual arts, fashion, gaming, recreation, festivals, culinary arts, film and television. We're kind of a convening agency for the ministry. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of places to touch, but we're also going to collaborate with all the other MDAs in the ministry and heavily with the private sector and the developmental sector. Because to answer the question, I've worked in all these spaces for, it's not quite 40 years, but it's a long time. I've worked in all these spaces for a long time. The institution, we have positive relationships to bring to the table to change the approach and to change the destination of where we hope to go. What I will say as well is that the reality of it is we're just beginning the journey. And there are no magic wands. I'm not going to wave a wand and everything's going to be fixed overnight, and neither is anybody else. But we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. And that's really important for me to say that, because people feel there are gatekeepers, but in my agency, there are no gatekeepers, right? We're not interested in whether you have the biggest reputation or the smallest reputation. We're interested in the value you're bringing to the table, because the truth of the matter is Nigeria is massive. There's a lot of stuff going on in Nigeria. We're going to try to aggregate those things and bring them into one platform, so that even as Nigerians, we can know what we're doing. Because to be honest, if you don't know and you don't follow, there's no way you can know 90% of what is happening even in Lagos before you talk about the rest of the 36 states in the FCT. So for me, from my perspective, the journey continues. The objective remains the same. We want to see Nigeria win, but in order to do it this time, I don't think government should ever be disinterested in the nature of the industries in which it is operating. But we also don't need to be owning the space. We want to enable, partner, collaborate, and see how we can push people to do more. because there are already people doing a lot, and maybe they haven't been recognized, they haven't been brought out, they haven't been celebrated. All these kind of things we can help to do, help to get news stories and people to bring these things to the fore, right? Like I said today, a Nigerian who was nominated for an Oscar as a director, the first Nigerian, is up tonight at the Oscars. It's not news in Nigeria. That's a problem. We have to be able to tell the stories that are of greatness of our people, because if you don't do that, you can't inspire anybody.
The National Assembly, in collaboration with the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, held a 5-day national capacity building workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocols for federal MDAs, with the theme, Enhancing Institutional Capacity for Effective Treaty Negotiation, Implementation, and Oversight in Nigeria. Honorable Barrister Rabiu Yusuf, Chairman of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements in the 10th Assembly, highlighted the importance of strengthening the skills of key government officials in treaty processes.
At this particular moment of our country, we need a situation whereby all the stakeholders involved in external engagement with other countries, particularly state and the federal governments, and mostly MDAs of the at national level, to ensure that they are aware, they know what it takes, they know how it will be, and they know what it takes to ensure the institutionalized democracy and the legal approach as far as ratification, engagement, domestication of treaties. That is why the 10th National Assembly, under the able leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated our committee, pursuant to Section 12, Sub 2 of the Constitution, that we should reach out to all necessary stakeholders who are personally stakeholders on this engagement to ensure they know how it takes and they know how to execute it. Basically, that is the reason we are conducting this exercise.
Actually, I think there is no point for me to deliver my remark at this time, because I'm very much aware that my remarks have been delivered instead of distinction. So in other words, I would just say I sincerely appreciate your presence in this program, and I believe it will go far in helping the system, stimulating the system, and work for the Nigerian progress. So I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
The major challenge, everybody is going silo, in the sense that we are not trying to bring ourselves into the same table to ensure that before you find any entity, be it state, local governments, or federal entity, as far as engagement is concerned with other outside worlds, you need to know there are provisions of the Constitution which you need to comply. Failure to comply with that provision of the Constitution, whatever you do, it will go to a nullity, invalid, and is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. And to the extent of that inconsistency, it is null and void, and of no effect whatsoever. So we're trying to avoid this scenario whereby at national level or at international fora, Nigeria will be embarrassed because the stakeholders, the principal actors, they didn't even know what they are doing. So that is why we decided at this particular moment it is ripe and necessary to ensure that we engage with unnecessary stakeholders. That is the basic reasons for engaging these activities. Actually, I recommend their effort to any other entity, because if you can see, most of them, they are legal luminaries. They know their audience, they know what they are doing. So I really appreciate, they did a very wonderful job. And I sincerely appreciate. That's the main reason that I say I need to be here in Lagos, at least to supervise the happening in Lagos, and I'm impressed. Engagement with outside world, it is two ways. It is going to be either bilateral or multilateral. So with this kind of workshop, or with this kind of discourse, we believe the principal actors will now know what it takes to enter a treaty. And if they comply with what they are taught in this session, if they advise their principal when they go back to their respective MDA on the right way to go, I believe most of the treaties would be legally binding in Nigeria, provided they follow the procedure laid down by the Constitution. The future is bright. And the future, we will ensure in the future that all the treaties, all the agreements, all the international protocols are being observed to the latter, are being protected and enforced as it is enshrined in the Constitution. And with this kind of workshop, we believe we will create a series of avenues whereby we will engage other parties, other necessary stakeholders. We just set the ball rolling, and we will be there, inshallah.
Also sharing insights on the workshop, the clerk of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements discussed the value of the training in improving the understanding and application of international agreements across MDAs. He noted that the engagement served as an eye-opener, equipping participants with tools for more effective negotiation and oversight.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and I want Nigeria to benefit from its interaction with the international community, and it starts from things like this. For us to be able to interact well, we need to know what it entails to engage in the international community. When we are talking about treaties, what does it entail to enter into treaties? How do we do that? How do we negotiate? How do we implement? How do we oversight as a parliament? So it is my duty as a clerk of the committee to advise the chairman and the committee members on how to go on all these issues, and also very instrumental to the organization of this workshop today. Our partners, the facilitators, are very, very excellent. We appreciate them, and it's also a collaborative effort between us and them. And so far, so good. What we have ensured so far has been fantastic. The participants are very, very impressed. I myself am impressed. And I also hope there are some things I'm taking home. For instance, now, Nigerians used to think before that our negotiators who negotiate treaties will just go abroad, go on tea party, shopping, but it's not the case. By what I'm seeing here now, I can see experts, technocrats who know their honors, who take the bull by the horn and do what's supposed to do. That one has been established. Even our facilitators can attest to that as well. Another thing is that the quality of ideas being shown and being given us here is very, very apt to our situation presently, so that we can apply in our situation in Nigeria. And going forward, if this lesson continues, it's going to impact a lot, because the MDs, many of the MDs are here, even state governments, like Kogi State Government is here, the SSG is here, the Attorney General of Plateau State was also here, and also some top directors in the federal MDA, they are here. So it's a high-class, high-level engagement workshop. We are in a political environment, I must tell you that. But we, technocrats, are supposed to be the advisors and movers of policies. So they don't need to bend. They need to stick to the rule. And I also to advise our government, our leaders, that as well as they are making policies, they should also consider the benefits, the interest of the country, not just politics. They should not play politics with it. They should consider the interest of the country first, and also the people. It's an appeal that everybody that has a responsibility to do, either in the public service, or in private sector, in government, do your responsibility as much as you can, in a good faith, in sincerity. Don't put your personal interests above national interests.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here to make a closing remarks forward on behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, 10th National Assembly, Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas. He has mandated me to deliver this goodwill closing remarks. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and your efforts in trying to attend this program and attentively pay attention to the discourse and further issue being deliberated here. And it is believed that this message you have learned here, or what you have learned here, will be passed towards your chief executive officers, and at the same time you will guide them achieving the necessary mandates in deciding issues of treaties, population of treaties, and what have you. So at this juncture, on behalf of the Right Honourable Speaker, we wish you a safe return to your various destinations, and we believe you will pass the message to all other necessary stakeholders. Thank you very much.
I hail from Lagos State, from Isaleko. My father hailed from the Olumegbo family. I attended my primary, secondary education in Ibadan at the time because my mother was there. But my religious practicing was always done during the holidays at Holy Cross Cathedral. I was working in the sacristy. We used to prepare for the Mass on Saturdays, and we sell the news magazine on Sundays in front of the church. And I remembered fondly that we used to tease a man called Sunday Boku Boku at that time, and he used to run to chase us and throw stones at, how dare you call me Sunday Boku Boku. Those were fun times. Harvest, Corpus Christi. And I was born, raised, baptized, confirmed, married in the Catholic Church. But I got married to Engineer Larry Phillips, who is an Anglican. And I believe that in togetherness of family, it's best we all do things together. So I moved over with him against the doctrine of Catholic Church to the Anglican Church at Marina, where his family belongs and worships. I attended St. Luke's Demonstration School. We used to climb the mango trees, and there was a mixed school. We used to play at during break time. And in my secondary school was a Catholic school, and it's for you to be prim and prudish in life, and set you on as a lady. And I got some finesse from there too. And but the most interesting one, and the most that I can call a radical one, was my HSC in Olivet. I mean, we tried all sorts there, but it was fun and highly educative too. Sportsmanship was there, and from there I proceeded abroad for my accountancy. And I was lucky to finish in a record time, and I came back. Did my articleship, but married in between. I met my husband abroad, and we came back home, got married in Nigeria. I worked as an accountant with USC, very proud of the drill professionally that I got from USC. It had set me on a discipline for working, and I thank God that I had that opportunity, which still helps me today. Apart from the fact that my educational background sets me to be a diversified person in so many professions. And as an accountant, accountancy is the best of all, is the creme de la creme, and I've been able to fulfill my professional exposure in every species of responsibilities that I had opportunity to take upon me. And from USC, I proceeded to work for the bank. I went to politics. I became a commissioner in Lagos State, served with the present president of Nigeria. And you know how Lagos is. Lagos is like a country to other states. We went through governance. My team, as you can see, I have some of my colleagues in Abuja now. I have Honorable Minister Wale Edun. I have Honorable Minister Dele Alake. I have Honorable Minister Yemi Cardozo, and so forth. And I served in the bank as a director in Keystone. I've been a chairman of so many committees, you can say that again, in different aspects of life, professional, political, social, and currently I'm now the chairman of Lasaco Insurance PLC. When I was growing up, it was so free and enjoyable. We can take off at 11, 12, escort your friends to Bangboshe here. We go and have the Mosa. We go to the stadium. I remember me in my teenage age, I used to go to Nikon Stadium here. We watch so many matches, and I used to be with those fans, dancing and waving our fans, and bazaars, Easter Mondays, Fela Sports, you name it. It was fun. But Lagos was good for all of us. It was cleaner. It was amazing. Security isn't much to fear. you know, you can just live the way you want. And money and values of life are completely different to what they are today. I was with my grandparents and we had so many tenants and we didn't realize they were tenants. We were all playing together, eating together, and we are still like one family today. But the story is not the same again. I wish one can turn around and change it, but we have all given our kids sheltered life for the fear of unknown. And I think the disadvantage is very grievous. I think first and foremost, God gave me the chance, the opportunities to pass through that in the journey of life. It's not only money that can make you successful in life. I want you to get that. It's an added support for you if in life you have the opportunities of parents who can financially support you. But at the same time, there are kids who didn't have any financial support and have been successful. So to me, success is about self-determination. I grew up around uncles and aunties who are thoroughly educated, and I've always had it behind my ambition that I must be in that cadre. And thank God the opportunity was there for me and I seized it. And I remember myself telling my kids, when I was abroad, I never lived like my father was a rich man. No. I was behind the desk reading and reading till I got successful. And I passed in record time. First and foremost, I think I'm a people's person. Secondly, my educational background. Thirdly, my pedigree. And you can't be a Lagos person and don't have a bit of intelligence about how you can maneuver yourself, even in the midst of challenges. And I can tell you that boardroom politics, especially when you're a woman, is tough. But when you manage those that you sit around with, eventually, when they see that you're there to work, it has no business and basis for any other thing. I've had issues on boards because I'm female, and I put my foot down. It is the work we are doing. There is no gender sensitivity in this issue. Even in my early days as an accountant, when I had the accounting department, it was even tough at that level because the young accounting class, some of them can be daring to say, how can you talk to me like that? How can you make it? And I'll say, please, what do you mean? We need to get this target work done. So it's the work that is talking. That's not to do whether I'm a man or a woman. So I will like the idea of gender reasonableness to be better played. At least for now, we are not having it at 3 1/3, no. But I guess we are in the region of 20%. And it should be better. You give a woman a chance, she will devote her life to it. But, I mean, when we have 1 or 2 issues from women who have been there, that should not create hurdle or boundary that you say a woman shouldn't cross. No. Nobody is perfect in life. And I want to let you know, it's tough for a woman. These men, when it is a woman having a corrective measure to be taken, they do not handle it the way they do for the men. They are in a rush to pack the woman out. You see from what has happened all over the world. So I will still make an appeal that women should be given better chances, better allowances. It's so quick to make a woman a scapegoat, the sacrificial lamb. Let's take it easy. And please, women, when they put you there, make us proud. I should remember the other women coming after me. If I make this trouble now, they turn around and say, this is why we don't give them the chance to get to the top. So you manage the situation, you know? And let us remember that Africa is still very chauvinistic. It's still a man's world here. We are only trying. So just give us, for now, our required 33.1% as per Beijing recommendation. Having been in politics, there are so many factors that bring you up there. Some sensible, which I would call sensibilities. Some sensitive based, which I would call sensitivity. And some as per geographical distribution. If it's not the turn of your section, your district, there's no way they can put you there. But then sometimes it's the turn of your district, the party supremacy decrees that they don't want to use you. What do? You have to show some resilience as a stable character and do whatever you are given very well. Excel. Somehow, one day, you'll be there. Like Martin Luther King. At the end of that tunnel, I can see the light. Someday, somehow, you get there. I was in tourism shortly, and it's not enough time to propagate the excellence of your work. But in special duties, I give the ministry class. I was able to represent my Lagos State very well. NYC was under me. Proudly, I served. And we ensure that all students that need to go to orientation camp are well registered and got their NYC certificates. It's not about where they put you, it's about what you are able to do in that place. And you do it even to the enviable eye of somebody who believes has the best ministry with a lot of funding and allocation. I'm different in that respect. A hard-working man, a man with a lot of sagacity, a man that is very kind, he has human kindness in his heart, a man that is highly focused. My office was very close to the Roundhouse, and I tell you, I wasn't surprised. And I kept telling everybody, I wasn't surprised he got a clinch that position, because I knew that even when in 99, from the day we stepped in, he's been working towards his election in 2003. So a man like that who is focused, his business is the end of the tunnel. all the distractions you are given, it's not, it doesn't consider it. So don't waste your emotions. When you provoke yourself unnecessarily, and the person you are provoking yourself upon is not even responding on that line, you're wasting your time. But he's an astute politician. He knows what to do at every point. And don't try him, because he's a hard knock. And he's easy to forgive. That bit, I don't know how he does it, but it's easy to forgive and move on. He understands politics, maybe from a young age, I don't know, but he seems to have the knack of it at all times. I think that's in the pipeline. I don't have to come here to say that. And even in the insurance company industry that I am now, I'm propagating that, look, you need to take it easy. Is it at these hard times you want to recapitalize the industry and make life harder? Yes, recapitalize, but not with large gap. The variance should not be too much, because you need to recapitalize so that companies will be solidly based to address financial issues and risk issues that we have in the country today. I studied religion for my A-levels in school. I did divinity. It's not just reading Bible. The interpretation, the history, the analogy, all of that I did. And it has helped to shape me for life. It has molded my conscience to a large extent. What I see in religion today, if I go back to the way I have studied religion, I will say I'm worried. The way we have churches established in this country now, I'm talking of my experience in Lagos State. On the street, you can find 6-8 churches, but there is no school. Education is key. Religion molds the character, the moral values about life. I'm not saying they're all totally condemned, but I think there should be more conferences and seminars to appeal to their conscience. It's one God. And in Lagos, the families, both Christian and Muslims, and the third religion, which is the native religion, we all interact and live together. And usually you find out that all of them talking about this God. I am a Christian. I talk about my God. And I don't denounce anyone in any other religion that faithfully talk about their God. And I don't allow that to affect a lot of decisions that I have to make, and didn't affect a lot of decisions that I had made. The expectation is too high. We are still a developing country. The awareness of covering up your risk is not too much there. In terms of life insurance, in terms of property, people are not still there. People don't cover themselves well enough. They take unnecessary risk. I'm glad Lagos State Governor is saying everybody must have a health insurance now. That, again, will expand the scope of the insurance business. In insurance, there are so many seminars, there are so many conferences that are being put up there now, where the ability to educate the masses, and even the high-ups one, to please insure yourself. And when I say yourself, your life, your property, your children, and see how far it goes. It is important. And you know, in this era of insecurity, it is highly important. Just make sure you ensure yourself. And with what the governor had proposed now, definitely Governor Sanwo-Olu did well. Health insurance is key. Health is wealth. First and foremost, inflation all over the world has gone haywire. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. Those who live in the Western world, they're crying hula baloo about the price of petrol, the price of even eggs. So it's not just Nigeria. Let us wake up and see that we're in a global world and everything is intertwined. The issue of the central bank now trying to manage inflation, these are not easy times all over the world. They're not easy times. And when I say we are a developing country, we are still trying very hard. I don't want to say it's sad. It depends on the environment. You know, you can't just bring UAE here into Nigeria. The environment here from inception has not delved too much on tourism. The tourism is just go on holiday and go back. The beaches are there. And even from 1999, they are trying to redevelop along the beach so that tourist activities can happen. And I'm sure they're still on it. You need tourist attraction where you have every aspect of life when tourists come over. But with the problem of infrastructure that we have in the country, you can't do much tourism for now. It wasn't easy, but as I said, once you try to be a bit methodological about it, then you get by. Because from the days I came back from England, starting a family, working in large corporations, they just ensure that the home front solidly settled. And it wasn't that easy, because you know that I'm talking of almost 40 years back. To be able to excel amidst men, you probably have to do 2 times, 3 times more than them. I'm lucky I have a husband who accepts me being what I am. Because if you have a partner that does not appreciate your ambition and your dream, he will not support you. But I have the support of my husband, and we are able to keep the home together. Make sure that his food is given. Make sure the kids are well looked after. And make sure the husband is well looked after at all times. And don't grudge. Try to give myself to people in terms of needs. I try to recognize people's needs, and at the moment of that need, I try to help. And it's a legacy I try to sound to my kids at all times, recognize needs, adapt.
Very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the World News here on Sook News Television. We're reaching you live from our studios in Lagos. My name is Grace Komolafe. First, we'll bring you some of the top stories for today. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo proposes legislation mandating all public officials to patronize Nigerian Airlines when traveling for international assignments. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, seeks an additional $5 billion to expand his refinery operations in Lagos, Nigeria. The Democratic Republic of Congo introduces new quota-based export system for cobalt and other solid minerals aimed at regulating solid minerals and strengthening countries' industrial capacity. China calls for stronger economic partnerships as United States dominate talks in the 28th Asian +3 summit in Kuala Lumpur. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has been elected as the new president of the Nigerian Boxing Federation, NBF. Thank you for joining us. Now we'll bring you the news in details. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo has proposed legislation mandating all public officials to patronize Nigerian Airlines when traveling internationally. The move, he said, is aimed at strengthening the nation's aviation sector and supporting local carriers in expanding their global reach. Speaking at a stakeholders forum in Abuja, Keyamo argued that local airlines should be given preference for official international travel as a matter of national interest and economic strategy. He noted that this approach mirrors practical and practice in other countries where governments actively protect and promote their flag carriers. The minister said the proposed law would not only boost the renewed and revenue valuable and of Nigerian Airlines, but also encourage improved service standard and competitiveness. He added that the Aviation Ministry would work with the National Assembly to advance the proposal into a bill. Despite receiving 8.93 trillion naira in federal allocations between 2023 and 2025, 767 out of Nigeria's 774 local government areas still lack functional websites. This glaring digital gap raises serious concerns about transparency, public accountability, and citizen access to governance information at the grassroots level. Digital governance experts argue that in an age of open data and e-governance, the absence of basic online infrastructure reflects poor prioritization and undermines efforts to improve local service delivery. With no digital footprint, it becomes difficult for citizens to access budgets, projects, or contact officials, further weakening trust in the system. Analysts have called for urgent intervention from both federal and state governments to mandate basic digital platforms for all local government areas. They stress that the simple website could drastically improve public access to information, encourage civic participation, and enable better monitoring of funds disbursed to local councils. Still in the news, Nigeria recorded over 50 billion in concurrency transactions between July 2023 and June 2024, according to recent data highlighting the growing divergence between digital asset adoption and participation in traditional financial markets. Analysts say the surge reflects deepening public distrust in Nigeria's conventional investment systems especially amid persistent inflation, naira volatility, and underperforming capital markets. Despite government effort to promote financial inclusion and regulate the crypto space, citizens, particularly young people, are increasingly turning to decentralized assets for wealth preservation and returns. This trend poses both opportunities and regulatory challenges, while crypto offers access to borderless finance and digital entrepreneurship. Experts warn it also heightens exposure to scams, volatility, and monetary policy risks. Financial authorities are now under renewed pressure to modernize capital markets, introduce innovative investment vehicles, and create a friendlier regulatory environment that bridges the gap between traditional finance and the digital economy. Moving on, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has recorded a historic tax collection of 47.39 trillion naira between October 2023 and September 2025, marking the highest revenue performance by the agency over a 2-year period. The milestone was achieved under the leadership of the FIRS chairman Zak Adedeji, who assumed office in September 2023. Adedeji's appointment by President Bola Tinubu came with a mandate to drive efficiency and innovation in tax administration. Since then, the FIRS has adopted technology-driven processes, expanded its tax base, and intensified compliance enforcement, leading to stronger revenue mobilization across sectors. The record performance is seen as a major boost to the federal government's fiscal stability, especially as the country seeks to reduce dependence on oil revenue. Stakeholders have credited the FIRS under Adedeji for enhancing transparency, simplifying tax procedures, and fostering improved relationships with taxpayers. The agency is expected to build on this momentum to meet further targets and support national development priorities. Still in the news, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, is seeking an additional $5 billion to expand his refinery operations in Lagos, according to the newly appointed president and chairman of the board of directors of the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, George Elombi. The revelation came during Elombi's inaugural address at Afrexim's investiture ceremony held on Saturday in Cairo, Egypt. Elombi disclosed that Dangote personally reached out to him earlier in the day to discuss the funding request, underscoring the urgency and scale of expansion plans. The Afreximbank board said the bank would explore all available financial mechanisms to support the initiative, noting that the refinery is a strategic asset with the potential to reshape Africa's energy security and industrial growth. Dangote's Lagos refinery, which began producing petrol in 2024, is one of the largest in the world and is seen as a critical step towards reducing Africa's reliance on imported refined petroleum products. The proposed expansion could further enhance its output and solidify Niger's role as a regional refining hub. The Bank of Agriculture, BOA, in collaboration with the International Organization for Migration, IOM, has secured a $200 million livelihood support fund aimed at empowering displaced Nigerians and enhancing rural economic inclusion. The initiative seeks to support internally displaced persons, IDPs, and vulnerable rural populations with access to finance, skills training, and micro-enterprises development. It will also promote sustainable agricultural practices, improve food security, and restore livelihoods disrupted by conflict and insecurity, especially in northern Nigerians. BOA officials say the fund will be deployed through targeted community interventions and implemented in partnership with local cooperatives, NGOs, and state governments. The project aligns with broader national effort to address humanitarian crisis while fostering resilience and long-term economic recovery in underserved regions. And away from that story, the federal government has said that rising local production harvest season gains and targeted policy interventions have contributed to a gradual drop in food pricing across the country. The development comes amid months of public concern over inflation and food insecurity. According to a statement released on Sunday, the government noted that collaborative efforts between the Ministry of Agriculture and state government have boosted domestic supply of key staples such as rice, maize, and millet. It added that rural access improvement and input distribution also played vital roles in stabilizing the market. While acknowledging that more work remains to fully curb food inflation, authorities expressed optimism that sustained agricultural output and upcoming dry season farming would further ease pressure on households. The National Bureau of Statistics is expected to reflect the trend in its next Consumer Price Index report. In virtually every nation, the discourse on economic growth often revolves around output, foreign investment, technology, and human capital development. Yet, one element that remains under-explored but profoundly fundamental is housing infrastructure. In this short documentary, Bayo Olaoye tells us about the housing infrastructure development in Nigeria. Please stay with us.
Property, a unique blend of architectural design, stunning locations, and thoughtful details. It plays a vital role in our life, providing shelter and security, wealth creation, and a sense of belonging. Properties leave a legacy for future generations, create business opportunities, and convey social status. The real estate market is constantly evolving, with trends and prices shifting in response to economic, social, and environmental factors. In-demand properties include sustainable homes, multi-generational homes, urban condos, and suburban single-family homes. The real estate market is a dynamic and ever-changing landscape influenced by economic, social, and environmental factors. Otumbagbemi Oyeneyi, an expert in the field, shed more light on the real estate industry.
The trend now, and that is where terraces are coming in now, so that you can have multiple, one bed apartment and all that, all structured together in a small space of land. So that is a trend. Developers are now building smaller apartments that are easy to sell or easy to rent or lease.
Affordable housing initiatives are on the way to provide options for low-income earners, while luxury properties in cities like Lagos and Abuja cater to the growing middle class. Commercial properties such as office space and retail centers are also in high demand due to economic growth. Globally, sustainable living and smart homes are gaining popularity, with eco-friendly properties and integrated technology becoming increasingly desirable. In Lagos, there have been commendable innovation through this industry.
The low-income earners definitely, we just have to wait. In a civilized environment, that is where government comes in to bring succor, to create opportunity, mortgage, and things like that. We don't have an effective mortgage system yet in the country. So good for them to understand, because sometimes when you want to buy a property and you hear the price, and then you wonder sometimes why. But if you also know that the cost of building material has gone up by almost 300% just in the last 12 months, then you will understand why. So it's easier for you to, appreciate the value and then the cost. Yeah, we are talking to governments to liberalize the mortgage system to make it affordable and accessible to the ordinary citizen. What the government has done so far is to, through the Federal Mortgage Bank, to ensure that civil servants and all that can access it, through their pension. But what about the market women? What about the, drivers? Recently, the government is actually trying to do something in that regard to make housing. In fact, there is a program now where the government want to set up or construct 1,000 housing units in every state. A committee is already set up, and they are already going around all the states for the state governors to allocate, land where this is going to take place. So government is already doing something on that.
In other parts of the world, median home prices vary widely, ranging from $200,000 in the US to over $1 million in cities like Hong Kong and Singapore. Understanding this trend and cost is crucial for buyers, sellers, and investors to make informed decisions and capitalize on emerging opportunities in the ever-changing real estate market. Praise Matthew.
Housing infrastructure as a driver of economic growth. In virtually every nation, the discourse on economic growth often revolves around output, foreign investment, technology, and human capital development. Yet, one element that remains underexplored but profoundly fundamental is housing infrastructure. Housing is more than shelter. It is an economic commodity, a social stabilizer, and a catalyst for development. From job creation to stimulating demand in allied industries, and from serving as collateral for wealth creation to enabling urban renewal, housing infrastructure stands at the heart of sustainable economic advancement. At the core of modern economies, housing represents both a consumption good and an investment asset. For households, it is often the most valuable property they own. For governments, housing development is a visible marker of social responsibility, while for economies, it serves as a growth engine with multiplier effects across sectors. According to Bayo Olaoye, veteran journalist with Souk News Television, well-planned housing infrastructure is not just about erecting buildings. When integrated with urban planning, it prevents slum expansion, enhances livability, and boosts productivity. World Bank estimates show that the real estate and construction sector contributes between 7% and 14% of global GDP, depending on the region. In advanced economies, such as United States, housing-related activities, construction, real estate, mortgage finance, home improvement, and property services are major drivers of employment and wealth creation. In emerging economies like Nigeria, housing contributes about 3.1% of GDP, though with vast untapped potential. Its influence cuts across financial markets, labor absorption, raw material demand, and energy consumption patterns. One of the clearest pathways through which housing drives growth is job creation. Development requires diverse skilled and unskilled labor, from architects and engineers to masons, electricians, and artisans. The construction phase alone is labor-intensive and generates immediate employment. Beyond that, housing stimulates growth in allied sectors such as cement, steel, timber, and glass. Industries producing furniture, interior decor, and home appliances thrive as household spending increases, while financial institutions expand their mortgage and insurance portfolios. The International Labour Organization, ILO, estimates that each housing unit constructed generates between 5 and 7 jobs, depending on project complexity. In countries grappling with high youth unemployment, this represents a powerful avenue for labor absorption and poverty reduction. Furthermore, housing facilitates wealth accumulation and capital formation. Unlike consumer goods that depreciate, housing retains or increases in value. For many households, home ownership is the foundation of financial security and upward mobility. Housing assets also serve as collateral for credit, driving entrepreneurship and industrial growth. However, in many developing nations, underdeveloped housing finance systems limit credit access, stifling broader economic potential. Expanding housing infrastructure can therefore deepen financial systems, democratize wealth, and strengthen the foundation for inclusive growth. As the United Nations projects that nearly 70% of the global population will live in urban areas by 2050, nations like Nigeria must treat housing as a strategic tool for urban renewal and sustainable development. Cities with adequate housing attract investment, foster innovation, and enhance livability, while poor housing conditions breed overcrowding, insecurity, and economic inefficiency. In essence, housing infrastructure is not merely about buildings, it's about building economies. I'm Moyosore Adibi, Sook News TV.
Thank you very much, Praise Matthias, for that first short documentary. Thank you, Bayo Laoye, for putting together the audio report read by Moyosore Adebiyi. And still to come on the news, President Netumbo of Namibia has had direct control of the Ministry of Industry, Mines and Energy for efficiency. And that will bring to you shortly after this break. Please stay with us. Ensuring compliance, transparency, and better traceability within the mining sector. Under the new framework, companies are required to obtain monthly export quotas from the Strategic Minerals Substantial Market Regulation and Control Authority, ARECOMS, make advanced royalty payments, and meet quarterly validation standards before shipment. This initiative seeks to ensure accountability and promote responsible mineral trade practices. By improving regulatory oversight, Congo aims to stabilize market prices and attract long-term investments that can support local processing and job creation. President Felix Tshisekedi described the new policy as a major step towards building a stronger and more self-reliant mining economy. With over 70% of the world's cobalt supply coming from Congo, the reforms are expected to enhance national earnings, encourage industrial diversification, and position the country as a key driver in the global transition towards clean energy technology. Still in the news, Namibia's President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah has taken direct control of the Ministry of Industry, Mines and Energy to drive stronger coordination and accelerate national industrial growth. The decision follows the removal of Natangwe Itete from his ministerial role, with the presidency emphasizing the need for effective leadership in a sector vital to the country's economic transformation. The move reflects the administration's renewed focus on aligning energy governance with long-term development goals. The energy stability and efficiency in policy implementation, particularly as Namibia strengthens its role in global resource and energy markets. This leadership shift signals a proactive step towards improving institutional performance, enhancing investor confidence, and supporting value addition within Namibia's extractive industries. Analysts believe the president's involvement will fast-track ongoing reforms, promote sustainable resource management, and help transform the nation's natural wealth into tangible development outcomes for the citizens. Away from that, the State Bank of Pakistan has kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged at 11% for the fourth consecutive meeting, reflecting caution in the face of rising inflation pressures. The decision follows a recent surge in food prices caused by severe floods that damaged major crops across the country. Out of 41 analysts surveyed by Bloomberg, 39 accurately predicted that the central bank would maintain rates, while 2 expected a small cut of 50% points. The bank's monetary policy committee noted that while inflation has recently edged higher, maintaining the current rate would allow time to assess the economic impact of the floods and other supply-side shocks. Officials emphasized that a premature reduction in rates could worsen price instability and undermine efforts to sustain economic recovery. The central bank is expected to issue a detailed statement outlining its inflation outlook and monetary strategy in the coming days. The latest decision highlights Pakistan's ongoing struggle to balance inflation control with the need to support fragile growth in the economic still recovering from climate-related disruptions and external financial pressures. And now the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, has unveiled a new proposal designed to increase retail investor participation in the nation's debt security market. The plan includes offering incentives such as higher coupon rates or discounts on issue prices for specific groups, including senior citizens, women members of the armed forces, and other retail investors. The move aims to stimulate activity in a sector that has recently seen a sharp decline in public issuance volumes. According to SEBI's latest review, public issues of non-convertible debentures dropped from 191.68 billion rupees in the 2024 fiscal year to 81.49 billion rupees in 2025. The regulator said the decline highlights an urgent need to attract more domestic investors and diversify sources of capital for infrastructure, industry, and innovation financing. SEBI's proposal, now open for public consultation until November 17, is part of a broader national strategy to deepen India's financial markets and strengthen economic inclusion. By encouraging broader participation in bond investment, the government aims to provide safer, long-term savings options for individuals while enhancing capital access for businesses and development projects across the country. Spain's benchmark equity index, the IBEX 35, has surged to a record high for the first time in 18 years, lifted by strong gains in banking shares. The index climbed as much as 0.6% on Monday to reach 15,948 points, surpassing its previous all-time closing level set in 2007 before the global financial crisis. The milestone reflects renewed investor confidence in Spain's financial sector and the broader resilience of its economy. Spanish stocks have surged by 38% in 2025, outpacing most European markets. Analysts attribute the rally to robust earnings from major banks, steady economic growth, and rising optimism about Europe's recovery from years of monetary tightening. Investors remain confident that the rally still has momentum, with expectations that easing inflation and stable policy conditions will continue to attract capital inflows. The sustained upward trend signals a strong year for Spain's financial markets, positioning Madrid as one of Europe's top-performing exchanges. Market experts believe that if global conditions remain favorable, Spain's equity market could maintain its leadership role in the region heading into 2026. British retailers experienced another decline in sales in October, with expectations of further drops in November as consumers grow anxious ahead of Financial and Finance Minister Rachel Reeves' upcoming budget. According to a survey by the Confederation of British Industry, CBI, the retail sales index remained negative at -27 in October, improving only slightly from -29 in September. The forecast for next month worsened to -39, signaling deepening caution among both shoppers and business owners. CBI principal economist Martin Sartorial said the prolonged decline, now lasting 13 months, reflects persistent weakness in consumer confidence, intensified by uncertainty surrounding fiscal policy. Retailers are also wary of potential business tax and employment law changes that could further strain operations. Sartorials urged the government to maintain a stable tax environment to help restore confidence and support business recovery. Despite the gloomy outlook, official data earlier showed a brief uptick in September sales driven by technology and online jewelry purchases, including strong demand for Apple's latest products. However, analysts warn that such boosts are temporary, with broader retail activity expected to remain subdued until the November 26 budget clarifies the government's economic direction. Still in the news, the United Arab Emirates has approved its 2026 federal budget, projecting total revenues of 92.4 billion dirhams, approximately $25.2 billion, with matching expenditures, according to Prime Minister and Dubai ruler Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Announcing the development on X, Sheikh Mohammed emphasized the government's continued focus on fiscal balance and sustainable economic management amid regional and global uncertainties. The approved budget reflects the UAE's prudent approach to public spending, ensuring stability while supporting key national priorities, including infrastructure development, innovation, and social welfare. By maintaining balanced accounts, the country seeks to strengthen investor confidence and preserve its strong credit standing, a hallmark of its long-term financial strategy. Analysts note that the UAE's budgetary consistency underlines its resilience amid fluctuating oil pricing and global trade tensions. The plan positions the Federation to continue diversifying its economy beyond hydrocarbons, boosting non-oil revenue streams through tourism, technology, and financial services sectors seen as pivotal to sustaining growth through 2026 and beyond. You're watching the World News here on Sook News Television. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay with us.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806
We are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website, www.adstudiescenter.com, to explore our programs and upcoming events. African Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight. I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event, and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, okay? And they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
Thank you for staying with us, bringing you more news story this afternoon. China has called for stronger economic partnerships and an end to protectionist policies during the 28th Asian Plus 3 summit in Kuala Lumpur, following the departure of United States President Donald Trump from the meeting. Chinese Premier Li Qiang urged member nations to uphold free trade, strengthening multilateral cooperation, and resist economic barriers as regional leaders discuss strategies to counterbalance the impact of steep United States tariffs. Despite Trump's assurances of American partnership in Southeast Asia, Washington's tariff stance on countries including Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam remains unchanged. The summit highlighted growing tensions between China's trade ambition and global skepticism over its expanding geopolitical influence. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, which represents nearly 30% of global gross domestic product, reaffirmed its commitment to expand trade membership and deepen integration. However, concerns from nations such as the Philippines over China's actions in the South China Sea underscore the delicate balance between economic cooperation and regional security. European Council President Antonio Costa also pressured China to lift export restrictions on rare earth materials vital to global manufacturing, warning that such curbs threaten supply chain stability. Meanwhile, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva announced progress towards a new trade agreement with the United States as world power reposition around tariffs and resources control. Asians call for open market signals both opportunity and uncertainty in evolving global trade order. The Bank of Canada is expected to implement its second consecutive interest rate cut this week, lowering the benchmark rate by 25 basis points to 2.25% as the economy shows signs of strain. The move comes after a 1.6% contraction in the second quarter, driven by weakening exports and job losses following United States tariffs on Canadian steel, autos, and lumber. Economists predict that the rate reduction will be announced on October 29 as policymakers seek to cushion the economic from further slowdown while maintaining inflation stability. A Reuters poll showed that over 60% of analysts expect this to be the final rate cut for the year, with rates likely remaining steady through 2026. Despite slowing growth and rising unemployment, core inflation remains above 3%, well over the bank's target midpoint of 2%, rising concerns that further earning could worsen price pressures. Governor Tiff Macklem had earlier signaled readiness to act if economic risk intensified, but the balance between inflation control and growth support remains delicate. Financial markets are already pricing in an 82% probability of a rate cut, reflecting confidence that the central bank will move to stimulate demand amid sluggish consumer spending and weak hiring. However, some economics argue that holding rates steady could preserve policy flexibility if inflation persists. The bank's upcoming monetary policy report, due alongside the rate decision, will outline updated forecasts for growth and inflation as Canada navigates the pressures of global trade disruption and domestic economic slack. Away from that, United States President Donald Trump has announced that a decision on appointing the next Federal Reserve Chair could be made before the end of the year. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One en route to Tokyo, Trump said discussions are ongoing and that a short list of 5 candidates has been prepared. The contenders include Trump's economic aide Kelvin Hassett, former Fed Governor Kelvin Wash, current Governor Christopher Waller, Vice Chair of Supervision Mitchell Bowman, and BlackRock Executive Rick Rieder. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed that the administration plans to conduct a second round of reviews and present a financial recommendation to the president shortly after Thanksgiving. The process comes at a time when financial markets are closely watching for policy continuity, as the next year will shape interest rates decisions and Federal Reserve's response to inflation and growth trends. The appointment will be critical in determining the direction of United States monetary policy through 2026, with investors expecting clarity amid heightened global economic uncertainty. The eventual choice could influence how aggressively the Fed navigates its balance between curbing inflation and sustaining economic growth, a challenge that remains central to Trump's broader economic agenda. Still in the news, fearing a new round of tariffs on Chinese import, U.S. importers rushed to bring in spring 2026 goods months ahead of schedule. Companies supplying major retailers like Walmart, Amazon, and Target chose to load their warehouses with China-made strollers, toys, and seasonal products to avoid potential 100% tariffs threatened by President Donald Trump. Many businesses such as Ostlin Baby Co. increased orders by up to 25% despite rising storage costs and uncertainty about consumer demand. The accelerated shipments created a surge in cargo volumes at major ports like Long Beach, with logistics officials describing the influx as a tsunami of cargo. Importers said the decision to front-load inventory was a calculated risk, as some preferred to absorb warehousing expenses rather than face steep levies if trade talks failed. Meanwhile, Chinese suppliers took a more relaxed approach, assuming that any tariff hikes would be delayed or softened through ongoing negotiations. Though Washington and Beijing reached a temporary tariff truce ahead of the November deadline, importers remain cautious. Retailers are increasingly sourcing from domestic warehouses or alternative suppliers to manage volatility in trade policy. Industry leaders warn that as long as tariff uncertainty persists, U.S. companies will continue overshocking and adjusting supply chains to safeguard their business and policy shocks. And away from that, we'll bring you sport-related stories. Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edo, has been elected as the new president of the Nigerian Boxing Federation, NBF. The election took place at a Package B Indoor Sport Hall of the MKO Abiola National Stadium in Abuja, where Edo emerged unopposed, securing all 12 available votes. Known globally as an economics and reform advocate, Edo's unopposed victory marks a new era for Nigerian boxing. His leadership combines a passion for the sport with a strong track record in governance and institutional reform, inspiring optimism among stakeholders for the Federation's revival. In his acceptance speech, Edun expressed gratitude and outlined his vision to implement comprehensive reforms and structural improvements within the Federation. He emphasized development grassroots talent, improving infrastructure, and ensuring transparency in administration to elevate Nigeria boxing to new heights, both locally and internationally. And lastly, on the news this afternoon, Victor Osimhen continued his impressive form as Galatasaray overturned an early setback to secure a 3-1 victory over Göztepe at the Rams Park on Sunday. The visitors stunned the home crowd just 6 minutes into the match when Efkan Bekiroglu fired in the opener. Galatasaray, however, responded with determination and relied on Osimhen's attacking instincts to draw level in the 19th minute. The Nigerian forward pounced on a defensive mistake to score his third league goal of the season, maintaining his strong start since joining the Turkish Giants. The equalizer sparked a dominant display from Galatasaray, who went on the control possession and created numerous chances. The pressure paid off with 2 more goals in the second half, sealing a convincing comeback win. Osimhen's influence proved decisive once again, underscoring his growing importance to the team's domestic campaign. And that's a wrap on the news this afternoon. But before we go, here is a recap of today's top story. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo proposed legislation mandating all public officials to prioritize Nigerian airlines when traveling for international assignments. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, seeks an additional $5 billion to expand his refinery operations in Lagos, Nigeria. The Democratic Republic of Congo introduces new quota-based export system for cobalt and other solid minerals aimed at regulating solid minerals and strengthening countries' industrial capacity. And China calls for stronger economic partnerships as United States dominates talks in the 28th Asian Plus 3 Summit in Kuala Lumpur. And finally, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has been elected as the new president of the Nigerian Boxing Federation, NBF. And that's the news this afternoon. We say many thanks for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at SupNews TV. My name is Grace Komalafe. Do have a great afternoon.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa, CDD.
Well, you already know my name is Steve Omojafor, and my middle name is Bamidele. That was the name that my parents gave me at birth, because it was like they regarded themselves as not Lagosians. It is Providence that brought them into Lagos. And I then happened to be born here at Odo Street in Obalende. And in fact, we didn't go to Mercy Hospital then. There was a little home along Odo Street run by a very experienced nurse, Mama Nurse, that's what we, So I was born in that little place and grew up from there. Like I said, my middle name is Bamidilim. My parents probably said, well, we have had you here, but this is not home. As at that time, you will go home with us. No problem. So I started off at St. Matthias Catholic Primary School on Louis Street. And I was in St. Matthias from 1953 till 1960, when we finished with our primary school leaving certificate. Then from there, an extra year at Holy Cross School. We did that extra, they call it prep class. Prepare yourself to go to the secondary school. And from Holy Cross, for 1 year, I moved on to St. Gregory's College, Lagos. Now, growing up in Lagos was one of the best things that happened to us then. Life was good, life was easy, life was safe, life was like everything that a young man could aspire to. We went to school with Scholars Bus, which was virtually provided for free. When Scholars Bus was not available, it was fun walking from Obalende, firstly to St. Matthias, and then from there to St. Gregory's College. Life was good, life was safe. You could go out any time of the day. You could play from house to house. Parents knew each other very well. And so, in fact, when you were late somewhere on your street or in your neighborhood, you could sleep there because they would send a message to your home that Dele is here, so don't bother. The next morning you wake up, have your bath, have breakfast, return to your home. There was this community life that we all lived. Parents could discipline children of their friends, okay? Not like these days, you dare not touch any other child. The parents will come and, do a battle with you. That I didn't send my child to you to be flogged or to be beaten. So it was a very beautiful life. So went to St. Matthias, went to St. Gregory's College, and then from there to University of Lagos. We were our brothers' keepers. School was fun. Teachers were all there just to teach you. There was no messing around. There weren't any bad habits that people could be developing along the line, So that was my life growing up. So we were all walking through Obalende to Lafiaji, to Campus Square, to Tokunbo, Okekpokpo, So we were children of the neighborhood. We were children of the area. So I'm never ashamed to say I'm an area boy in Lafiaji. Today it has become a taboo, but then we were proud of our origin. We were proud of our place of birth, and we were proud growing up in the neighborhood. So today, still believe me, I get up on some Fridays, I just go to Lafiaji, I stay with the guys. Okay, not all of us were fortunate enough to go through the system. Okay? So those who, in quote, we left behind, we still, a lot of the time, we still talk to them, we still relate to them when there are problems that we could fix. We help out. Because, it wasn't their fortune to be able to have gone. I know some dropped out, on their own volition. But generally, we all like the idea of going to school. Some couldn't make it. But we still relate to them. We are still friends. So I'm not surprised I leave Holy Cross Cathedral and I just hear people call me my names. And I know these people are those who knew me when we were growing up. Let me start by saying that even at secondary school, I read a lot. I was interested in the newspapers. And a lot of the time, I read something, there was always this beautiful column of letters to the editor. So anything that I read that I liked, I sit down. 2-3 paragraphs letter to the editor to compliment what they've done, to criticize what I didn't like, and these things were published, and I liked it. Okay, you open the papers and you just see, contributed by Steve Omojafor, or some will call me Bamidele Omojafor. So that kept me getting interested in the media. So when I left secondary school, after higher school, I would just pay a visit to Daily Times, which was in Tinubu, Kakawa Street. I just pay a visit there, and I got talking to people. They would take me to the newsroom, they'll just show me how newspapers are produced and all that. That ignited my interest. So when I left higher school, mass communication was what occurred to me. I know that my uncle, you are not doing accountancy, you are not doing engineering, you're not doing medicine, you want to go and become a newspaper boy. I said, yes, this is where my interests lie. So I got admitted to Lagos University. I studied mass communication there. And while I was there, I developed a column in Lagos Weekend of those days. Every Friday I was contributing. And I was writing under the name of Akinbodilon. Now, Akinbodilon itself is a name that I picked up in a drama group. Because we had a drama group that we produced all kinds of little plays here and there at J.K. Randall Hall, So one of the roles I played was Akinbodilon. So when I started writing my columns in Daily Times and Lagos Weekend, I just used that pen name, Akinbodilon. So I did the program and I started writing for Daily Times campus news, things that happened during elections, battle between the male and female, problems with the tutors and everything. So it became a very regular program. In fact, I inherited the program from late Golabo Ogusawo, who was my boss in the Daily Times. So I did that program for 3 years. It became very popular. It got to a point, Vice Chancellor would call me to say, there's a little thing going on in the university. I hope you have covered it for your paper. And I said, I'm not even employed there. I'm just writing, So I left University of Lagos, had all kinds of jobs that one could do, but I headed for Daily Times because I just had developed a path for myself, and that is journalism. Okay. So while in the Daily Times, worked with the Lagos Weekend, went to Daily Times proper and worked there. I was a columnist I was a sub-editor, and also a reporter. Combined everything. So that was where my interest grew, and it was very painful when I had to leave the Daily Times organization. And what did I go to? Linters Advertising. When I walked into Linters, and I said to the chairman managing director, and I said, I want a job. I said, just like that? I said, yes, sir. You know, then it was easy to communicate with people. We're not too many, so they listen to you. So he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm a sub-editor at the Daily Times. So why are you coming to advertising? I want to broaden my space. I want to broaden my experiences. It took about 3 months, and I got a job in Linters. And I remember Alhaji Babatunde Joseph, when I was going to leave, said, look, Steve, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Linters. I said, well, we do the same thing. They package programs commercially. Here we do our papers and we go sell, you know. So I said, okay, sir, let me just go gather some experience at Linters. And Linters and Daily Times were just 5 minutes walk from each other. And I said, sir, if the editor needs me for anything, trust me, I will spend my time and money, do write-ups for Daily Times. So I was like working in advertising and still writing for the Daily Times. You know. So that was my life. From Linters, we set up our own company known as Roosevelt Advertising Limited. And Roosevelt, was formed by 3 partners, you know, two friends of mine. 3 of us were at Lagos University at the same mass comm department. So we came out, and I left Daily Times to set up Roosevelt. One of my partners left Cadbury to join us, and Akodusi left AdMark, another advertising company. So 3 of us came together and we set up Roosevelt. We call ourselves second generation agencies, because before then we were the Ogilvy, the Linters, Grant Advertising, and so on. So we set up a small shop in Surulere, and it grew beyond our own imagination. From Roosevelt, we set up a second line agency called McCann, STB McCann. Got affiliated to a company in America, McCann Erickson. So that was how it all went on. Now, I didn't do banking, and I didn't work as a banker. The interesting story is that one day, while still at Roosevelt, no, STB McCann then, I got a phone call from somebody I've never met before. And I picked up the call. He said, my name is ABC, blah, blah, blah. And he said, the managing director of Zenith Bank wants to talk to me. So I said, look, there's no problem. I know I'm not owing any bank and all that. He said, no. He just wants to talk to you. So I picked up him. He picked up the line and said, my name is this. I said, my name is this. He said, can we meet? So I said, no problem. He said, no. So we agreed to meet. And it got to be that he wanted to appoint a couple of directors for the bank before they went public. And what I said to him was, I'm not a banker. I didn't study finance or economics. He said, no. What I want from you is your name and your integrity. Nothing beyond that. that was the beginning of the story. So I got onto the board, and I learned a lot. You know, I'm somebody who doesn't get to a place and I want to show them what I know or what I don't know. You could make a fool of yourself sometimes. So for me, like the first 6 months or 1 year, was just go to the meeting, listen to them, know where they are coming from, know what the focus is, and know what the expectations are. So I picked it up from there. Gradually, I got into the system. Of course, naturally, buy some books on banking, finance, just read, you know, so at least you know how the banks operate. I've always been a customer of the banks in a very small scale. And all I did was follow the banking trend. You know, there weren't too many banks in Nigeria at that point in time, but I followed through. And that was it. I got onto the board. And somewhere along the line, there was the policy of the central bank. The managing director had to step aside, so to say. The chairman had overspent some time regulated by the CBN. And they approached me and said, you are going to become, being at the board, you're going to become the chairman of the board. I said, me? And they said, yes. I've met a lot of people here, so why me? Anyway, to cut the short story long, I was eventually made the chairman of Zenith Bank. And I was there, I was chairman for 4 years. And then CBN rules changed again. The MD came back, and I was very happy to hand over the bank to him. And I said I was going to leave when he came back. He said no. Statutorily, as he had 2 more years on the board, that no, you got to stay and live out your time. And then, so I did. And after 12 years, I eventually bowed out from the bank and returned full time to my own job, which I've been known for, and that is the media world. Okay, so I get invited for interviews, for programs here and there. Like you said, it's always a good thing. You have something you have learned over the years, you want to impact it on the younger ones, you know, who are coming. I mean, my first son, for instance, you know, went through the media scene, now in advertising, and I go on encouraging them. I retired from active day-to-day operations about almost 15 years ago. You know, but I'm still keeping pace with what is going on around me. Yeah, I mean, the society itself is very dynamic. There's been a lot of changes over time. I mean, I look back to during my own time in the newspaper world, and I can count just about 4 or 5 newspapers then. Okay, Morning Post, Daily Times, The Express, and a couple of others. So we knew each other. We knew the practice, we exchanged news information, we exchanged, I mean, if you had a news that was breaking, you know, you want to call up colleagues from other papers, we all go there as a team, right? Because stories will be written from different angles, no matter what you do, you know. So, newspaper was great. And it was so good. In the morning, your byline was there, and people were trying to reach you, you know, about the quality. Quality was good. Quality was good. And there wasn't too much of freelancing in those days, the newspaper world. So you were either fully employed or you didn't belong. Same thing for radio. I mean, for instance, television I didn't do much about. While in journalism and in newspaper world, I was writing for radio, okay? Interesting stories. I had, there was a name to this program, the Oddities, Odd World. So we were picking up things that were odd. People that didn't imagine what they were. It's not something that was very common. So we went on doing that. So newspapers were growing, radio was growing, television was growing, and out-of-home media was also growing. And talk about the dynamism of the system. Suddenly, people were now going out of buying a newspaper every day to sit down and hold it in front of you, trying to read from beginning, from cover to cover. Other forms of communication came on. With the advent of mobile phones, things began to change. In our own time, it was the phone you put on the desk and you were dialing it, a lot of the times you could never get across, okay? Suddenly, mobile phone came onto the scene. And news coverage was transformed completely from what it used to be. Okay? So now people on their phone could reach out, you could touch Germany, touch America, touch all parts of Europe, just sitting down in your office to gather information, gather news, what is new, And then, of course, we now had more television stations, no longer NTA alone, okay? Now, with the new stations, things were just expanding. Things were broadening up, and news gathering became something new altogether, and everybody was heading for a new phenomenon altogether. So today, you don't have to be a big guy to be able to tell your stories. Little children tell their stories, females tell their stories, So really we have moved from the days of waiting to read your newspaper to gather your news. Now, with your phone on your palm, you could do wonders all over. But of course, standard also, in some areas, standard will improve. In some areas, standards will go down. Because the multiplicity of media sources create problems. The kind of quality control we used to have in those days was disappearing. And people can build up stories without even being there to know if it is factual or not. So of course, the turmoil that we are going through in the media space now is better imagined. But I still believe that for those who have structures like the one you are building up now, will enable people to know that you've got to check, you've got to cross-check, okay? We have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be, So in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts before you can believe, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. People are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube, you go to Instagram. People are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity. Yeah? And I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it. And for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. I mean, thanks to our mobile news. I mean, you talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your Google map, and you don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just go to the app, and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, so that we don't mislead people on the street, particularly people in the rural areas. One day you just see everybody running helter-skelter because somebody posted in news that is not correct. So we need to watch that and put some more control. But I like the growth in the media space. When I got into the banking sector, I saw myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was the period of tally number, Remember this commercial, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bank? I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times my board members will ask me, are you on the board or you are still a customer? I said, first and foremost, I want to remain a customer of the bank. Who will come into the bank and get properly served? Who will come into the bank and feel like human? Who will come into the bank feeling important? Because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the way customers are treated. It is their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time. And I said, look, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. I mean, yeah, you can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer the king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits. Okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here, and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get from their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan, and you tell them, give them all the facts and figures, okay, they will tell you, you are going to pay interest of 20%, 23%, blah, 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 blah. When they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so high. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you give me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the bank than the customer. So I met a lot of pushbacks, in that area. And I must still say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. In the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5%. In Nigeria, goes as far as. Maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together. For both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to. So there be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. Then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And certainly banks started, employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks, so people can spread out, and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system, and we are still going. Now, the bank for a long time have been let loose to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks. It was almost an extension of the State House. You just pick up your bell and you ring, and the governor of Central Bank will come shaking, because you had the power to bring him in and fire him. So he had to respect everything that the president wants. And it's wrong. This time around, I can say, even in some parts of Africa, you couldn't run the central bank the way we run it here. All the CBN governors wanted to do, please the president, and you are free to do whatever you want to do, and it's wrong. It's wrong. I mean, take even Britain here. Have you ever heard this kind of relationship between the Prime Minister of England and the CBN? No. Everybody has his mandate. In places, in climes like that, the president doesn't call up the central bank governor. Go and do this. Go and do that. Exchange rate should be done. Change your policy to be done. I mean, that's part of the problem we've had in this country. So the last government and their CBN just ran this country to their whims and caprices. You leave your monetary policy. In fact, you were running both monetary and fiscal at the same time. You took the Minister for Finance, for instance, and you have no dealings with him or her. You ran their own programs for them, and you did things that they should do, but they couldn't query you because the president, had your back. So a lot of things went wrong. And the result is now here for all of us to see. So look at the changing of redesign, what they call redesigning of the currency. Now we know there are so many ways you should have done it, but we put politics and added it into our financial and monetary policies. We wanted to do it specifically to change the course of history. And it is wrong. So today, we now know what's happening at the central bank. In fact, if the true story of what went on in the last 8 years was told, I don't know what will be left of this country. You had this little thing in the Constitution that said the government can borrow from the CBN within certain limits. They call it ways and means. But no. And there was a percentage tied to it. You can't do more than 5%. And by the time you're asking for the new one, you should have paid up. We went on piling up. It's like just go and print the money. What Idi Amin used to do in Uganda in those days. That's the kind of situation we found ourselves. Very regrettable. But I believe some sanity will now come into this space. The new central bank has at least outlined its policies. It has also said, let me keep to my monetary policy, which is my area, and leave the paperwork and how they want to run it with people who deal with the fiscal area. So we want to change. We think things should change. Now, before now, we borrowed and borrowed without thinking about how are we going to pay? Who are we leaving this debt for? Now we know it's for you and me to still do our work, put in as much money as we can, no matter how little, into the bank, and revive the banking industry. Okay, so the CBN has its own role And my prayer and my wish is that they will keep their own part of the bargain, leave other people, you know. The Minister for Finance has said it that much. We should, I mean, we all know, simple economics. You don't borrow money to pay your debt. You borrow money for production. You borrow money to fix things like your oil maintenance and all that. Where our money should be coming from. That's what you borrow money for. You don't borrow money for wastages. You don't borrow money to satisfy your whims and caprices. You don't borrow money to just go out there and waste it. Now, you borrow money to pay back your debt. At the end of the day, we are back lower than where we started off from. So really, my appeal to both the president and his cabinet, particularly those that do with finance, give them some room. You put them there because you think they know what they're supposed to do. Give them the space. If it goes breathing down their neck, at some point, it will just be, president said so, president said, even things that the president did not say, president said so, and it's got to be done. And we are running a country, even when you run your home, you are able to sit down with your little income and plan. Every day we are being told, if you earn this much, use this little bit, keep the rest in the bank, because you never know about tomorrow. So that's where we found ourselves, and I believe that if everything goes right, we should see massive changes from what it was, the last 8 years. We need drastic changes in the system. My mom in Abalinde used to say to me, when I want to be lazy, he will make sure you do what she wants you to do. And he will remind you that hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that turns you into an inconsequential human being with no sense of direction. We grew up learning hard work, both in school and out of school. I, for instance, hawked on the streets of Lagos with my mom. You leave St. Gregory's College, now not primary school, St. Gregory's College. You come back. My mother was a textile seller. Got it, probably went to Balogun, pick up. When I come back from school after my lunch, get a basket full of cloth, which I put on my head, and we go from street to street. My mother is carrying her tape rule and another measurement stick, and we'll go around Obalende, Igboshere, Bamboshe, Oshoji, and we were selling. From there, she graduated to owning a shop in Balogun. When I leave school, I was her accountant, so to say, bookkeeper. All the things they sold, I make, keep the records and everything. I helped her take the money to the bank. It was Barclays Bank, what was it called then? Yeah, Barclays Bank, before it became Union Bank in Balogun. So I've learned how to trade. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to deal with customers. Plus that, I was also a bread seller. Somewhere along Strachan Street off Igboshere, there was a big bakery owned by the Lawson family. to be able to get enough bread, you got to get there between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay? So let me cut it short. We learned to work hard. And that working hard continued with us up till where we are today. We also were very straight-minded in terms of what we wanted to be. We played pranks, so we went out to play football, we went out to, to play with the girls and everything. But at the end of the day, you returned home. And our parents didn't spare the rod. They didn't. You came back later than expected to. They would lie you on the floor and dealt with you. So the combination of the kind of upbringing and the kind of training we went through home probably kept us where we are. And like I said to you before we started the interview, you knew that if you finish your primary school, secondary school is the next thing. If you finish secondary school, you don't know what you were going to reading for. Not until probably when you got to the university did it occur to you, okay, I'm going to choose a profession. But all along, we just did it because that was what the system and the environment asked for. So, secret of success, hard work, hard work, hard work. No. I had a father who was very finicky about appearance. When I lived on Igboshere Road, our church was on Louis Street, so to say, walking distance. He taught me how to wear full agbada right from primary school, secondary school. I mean, today, you just wear Buba and Shokoto, you go to church. Never was that happening. It's got to be full. Right. Then from there, by the time you got into, my father died while I was in university. Before then, he was always having this very thin bow tie, not this bigger one, bigger sizes now. Thin, even when his dress is khaki, he still had it on. So I admired him, but initially I was on my long tie, up till a point, and I look back at some photographs we took when we were in the secondary school, and I thought, no, let me go back to those old days. Some people tell me it makes you look old. I said, I don't mind, but these days I have just acquired that fashion taste, which has suddenly become my, what do you call it? Become what I'm known with. And I enjoy it. And I encourage people, once in a while, put on your bow tie. It makes you look good, makes you look impressionable, it makes you look a serious person, and it makes people take a second look at you. I think, number one, parents started sparing the rod. Call it civilization, call it growing up and all that. Parents started sparing the rod because they always whipped us to shape. You knew what was expected of you, and you did it. Because if you didn't do it, your punishment is waiting for you. But as we grew up, you probably will ask me today, do I use the rod for my children, for instance? And the answer is no. And why it is no is that these days the children look up to you. They are more exposed than what we wear. More exposed. They know what daddy does. If you show them a bad example, they will repeat that bad example. If they know that when daddy wakes up in the morning, before he goes anywhere, he needs time to say his prayers. He too unconsciously will copy you. If they know that when dad goes out, he comes back certain time. He doesn't come in at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Subconsciously, they too will know there's something that this old man sees that doesn't make him go out all night. So they copy from us. But then, like people say, I don't know how correct it is, that these days people are so busy looking for money. They all over the place. They abandon the home to nannies and housemates and all that, and the children a lot of the time are on their own. But people like you and I, for instance, probably had housemates in the house. You see, but the work that the housemaid does, we were also made to do it. Right? Washing our plates, staying in the kitchen to see how things are prepared. They took us through it, even if you didn't have to do it yourself. And that's why you and I are what we are today. But for the modern young families, most so if there's some money to back it up, no, the children don't touch a lot of housework in the homes. They can go out by the time they learn. They can wear, I mean, you see some little young girls and what they wear. In fact, even to the church, you want to ask yourself, aren't their parents go to see what the children are wearing? Particularly the female. Even the guys wearing what they, think they don't use the belt, the trouser would just be somewhere on their hips and all that. Yeah, I mean, we want them to express themselves, but within control. So, wrapping up on that, I'm going to say, yes, we grew up under stronger control. Today's parents are so much in love with their children. They don't want to make them unhappy. You don't want to, pick up a stick and hit them. But I don't quarrel with that. But please be there for them when they need you. And don't be scared to talk to your parents. To talk to your children. No. We should never be scared to talk to them. Because they're not going to take us over. They are our children. So what you don't want them to do, communication, extremely important. Talk to them. Let them, because peer pressure is extremely strong out there. They're mixing with so many guys from much even richer homes who have more to spoil their children with. Now you are a moderate family, your moderate children have to mix and relate and go out with guys with stronger economic background. There is, there is some disconnect there. Let's bring our children closer. Let's talk to them. A lot of parents don't talk to their children. And it's not right. Because the more you talk to them, the more they have that empathy for you. They know you care for them. They know you, because you have been moderately successful, for instance, they too want to be successful like you are, and all you are saying to them, follow my footsteps, and you may not go wrong. And don't make wealth, money, the thing that should govern your homes. Don't spoil the children. Give them adequately what we all need to survive, and they will survive. In those days, while all you needed to take to school was 1 shilling. Okay, you still see children from rich homes who came with £1 and stuff like that. But let's be contented. Let's teach the children to be contented with what we have. Families are growing, society is expanding, and we can reach out to any part of the world. Now, we need to bring them closer to the home. At least up till the time that they are leaving you to go and start up there. But as long as it's still within your influence, it's very important that children and their families come much, much stronger together. I'm going to start with sports. I was an avid squash player. Okay, back in school, a bit of football, a bit of tennis, and other. But when I started growing up seriously, I loved squash. And I played squash until I was over 50. Okay, and the doctor said, slow down on squash. So today, I do my swimming. Okay, I still do my swimming 2-3 times a week. Okay, and then of course I walk. There's this thing that keeps on saying, if all you can do is walk for 30-40 minutes a day, okay, and then of course I'm an avid fan of football up till today. I wish we could develop a local league so that I could slow down on my European Premier League sessions. So I love football and I love lawn tennis up to now. Now, favorite color, subdued. Okay, hot colors frighten me. Okay, and if you have to do it, just make it minimal. When I pick my dress, for instance, you got to know you want the kind of shirt you want to wear to match the color of the tie you want to use, to match the color of your suit, so it doesn't run riot. So it's extremely important. And I said to my friend, just Google it. What color matches this and what color matches that? So you don't become like a Christmas tree on the road. That was the third one, food. I grew up enjoying my eba and amala. Growing up from Obalinde, okay? So I do my eba, I do my amala. Rice, occasionally. But then these days, from age 70 upwards, the doctors are screaming, watch what you eat, what the quantity you eat. So my wife draws up a weekly timetable. Monday is this, Tuesday is that, Wednesday is that, and she manages to mix up a slightly heavy one and a slightly lighter one so that you have a good mix. With age, you cut down on a lot of things. Cut down on your booze, cut down on your champagne, you cut down on your wine, you cut down on your salt. In fact, it's like they're punishing us. But then they say that is the way to go to be able to at least live longer and enjoy more of life.
When most Nigerians hear about anti-graft agencies, fear is the first response, anxiety over investigations, raids, or sanctions. But the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, is showing a more collaborative face, one that seeks engagement and partnership to foster integrity across public institutions. The message came to the fore during a courtesy visit to the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos, where the ICPC Resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner for Lagos State, Alexander Chukura, led a strategic conversation on collaboration, ethics, transparency, and institutional accountability, received by the hospital's acting medical director, Dr. Wakil Lawal. The visit focused on sensitizing management and staff on the importance of ethical conduct and risks of practices that might attract the Commission's attention.
ICPC is the police of public agencies. I want to break it down the way you understand it. What we mean is that we police MDAs to make them adopt global best practices. However, it is a known fact that one person cannot stand at attention and stand well. For crime or for corruption to be consummated by the public officer, most of the time you find people from the outside, they contact us. They are not public officers, is that not true? I'm aware on the same page. So essentially the ICPC is the police of public agencies. What is really corruption? Can someone attempt? Or do I just go ahead? And what they want, which one would you prefer? Okay, let me go ahead. There are that complex term, corruption, has been seen by different people at different times from different perspectives. But I'm going to still break it down. Corruption aptly refers to an abuse or a misuse of position of public trust to confer an unfair and undue advantage to oneself, to one's relative, or proxy, which may not necessarily be financial. Anything you do to abuse or to misuse that position of public trust for your own gain or for others is corruption. So, the point I'm saying here is that if we have that at the back of our mind, and ICPC is the police of the public agencies, what about the EFCC? The EFCC came after ICPC for purposes of specialization, economic and financial crime.
A key moment of the engagement was an open question and answer session where concerns were raised about perceived bias in enforcement, particularly when some political actors appear untouched, while public servants are often held accountable. The commissioner clarified that the ICPC investigates based on issues and petitions, not status. While he noted the section of Nigeria's constitution which offers temporary immunity to certain office holders, he stated that this immunity elapses once they leave office, after which credible petitions are duly investigated. The leadership of the hospital present were also encouraged to see the ICPC not as a threat, but as an ally in strengthening systems and protecting public trust. Chukura emphasized that internal mechanism is not enough in fighting corruption. Rather, it requires alignment with global best practices. He urged public institutions to adopt transparent documentation and compliance protocols, stating that the absence of proper records can be just as detrimental as misappropriation of funds.
I was able to address some areas of concerns and also improve our knowledge on things that we actually don't take cognizance of. More importantly, in some situations, the officers or the executive or the head may not necessarily committed any offense. But from your statement today, I would deduct that keeping good record is also as important as not being corrupt. And so this is also things I want some of my colleagues and myself to also learn from. ICPC or EFCC will not be there when we are getting transaction. There's the document we are going to send to them. And so it becomes an important aspect of our work. I hope this will also improve our practice. So thank you. Your statement today has contributed a lot. And we no longer fear ICPC. ICPC is our friend. And I'll show you we'll keep the channel open.
Speaking with Sook News TV, the commissioner reiterated the need for ongoing partnership across key sectors to foster greater understanding of the commission's work and improve public trust. He expressed optimism that in a few years, ICPC would achieve significant milestones in building a more accountable nation.
It's a tradition in ICPC for us to go to strategic stakeholders. We go to the place to tell them what to preach the anti-graft crusade. So that at the end of the day, we have a better nation. Because on the stand of insight, it's been discovered that Nigerians, the citizens, have suffered. There's a lot of apartheid indifference about the anti-graft crusade. So it's this constant effort by the ICPC to now begin to, make people get a buy-in for that to be part of the whole crusade. We go everywhere, especially government, that's the MDAs, so that we can galvanize support, so that we can educate the people on the ills of corruption. We're not there yet, but with the present board, the end is very near.
At the end of the session, the ICPC handed essential materials, including the ICPC Act, a handbook of frequently asked questions, and a guide on the consequences of unethical behavior to the director. A symbolic award was also presented as a sign of the ongoing cooperation. This visit forms part of ICPC's broader strategy to build institutional integrity and promote responsible service delivery across the public sector. Grace Komolafe, Sook News TV. Dubai to Lagos, Nigeria, and across the globe, Sook News TV is your #1 station focusing on business, economy, and development. With global digital reach, we connect Africa's pulse to the world stage. Welcome to Sook News Television, and here we go beyond the headlines, from breaking news, in-depth conversational programs, to market analysis and indices. From policies affecting growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, we deliver content that connects you to the world. At Sook News Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. Sook News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited, also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano, and Emirate News Television Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. Sook News TV, your home for business, economy, and development.